Hello again, my friends. Happy Friday. And unfortunately, now we must delve into some crap. So, yesterday, I gave my review of Mighty Number 9, and I know that I've probably received both good reception as well as bad reception on my opinion, which is I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's fine. I think it had a lot of potential, which unfortunately won't be explored. With that being said, yesterday was strictly about reviewing the game as a whole. Today we're going to talk about the controversies around it. And I'm not going to respell them out. They've been respelled out so many times on YouTube. You can go look up another video like with Jim Sterling. I think he went pretty thorough into it. But this is basically a vlog to give my thoughts on Mighty Number 9 and the controversy that surrounded it up until its release, which in turn sparked the internet into a really jaded attitude towards a game with tremendous potential. And here's the sad part of it. A lot of people are expecting me to go rant or rave on either or, to either defend concept or defend the fans. And this is actually one of those cases where I think we're both the good guy as well as the bad guy. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, what the hell? The reason I'm going to explain that is because, well, Kickstarter itself has created a kind of a quagmire of problems with trying to create games. And I'm not just saying the people who go blow their Kickstarter budgets in a strip club. I've already been able to follow quite a number of games, and I actually just barely realized before I did the review, this is actually a game I didn't back, probably because it was already funded at that point. So I actually didn't back it. I have other games that I've backed, but this was one that fell through the cracks. I kind of wished I had. Well, actually, no, not really. I really don't. Because one of the problems that I think was the fact that this game earned so much money, and therefore wasn't really worth the money that it earned. So the original, I actually had to go look this up, but from what I've been able to research, the original Kickstarter goal was $900,000 to be able to make Mighty Number 9. And it got almost $4 million. It was $3.8 million. That's a lot of money. And now I kind of feel for the Kickstarter backers. It really feels with the game that you got, this got squandered. And I know that there were tons of problems in the development. They brought in Deep Silver to help out with the publishing, but they also had to move over to a completely new engine and all of that. But it's one of those things where I just can't find a good and a bad guy in the whole matter, because Concept is at fault for all of the problems that happened, for all the time it took to get this game out. But at the same time, why did we hand them $4 million? It's one of those things where in Kickstarter now, I'm really becoming a big proponent of only funding that goal and letting them use that kind of thing. And two of the biggest arguments that I can make in that favor are Mighty Number 9 and Broken Age. Let me preface this. I like both of the games. However, I have problems with both of them. Mighty Number 9 took 3 to 4 years to get into anybody's hands. I feel bad for every Kickstarter backer. There were points where you got no updates. And you just handed out your money to fund a game that doesn't exist and almost didn't exist. And at the same time, Broken Age had the same problem where a bunch of people wanted a Tim Schafer point-and-click adventure. What you got was half of one. And you spent I think that also was like a $3.5 million deal. $3.5 million. He was asking, I think, for $500,000. And he got that. And at the time, we were all praising, oh my gosh, Kickstarter's the greatest thing ever. But then we started to realize, oh, yeah, this is supposed to be a thrifty thing, and people really aren't treating it as such. I love you, Tim Schafer, but Broken Age didn't need Jack Black, and it didn't need Elijah Wood to be part of the voice cast. And I actually do legitimately worry, and I think it's actually been officially cataloged in an interview with Tim, that a lot of that money went towards those two for the star power. Because of that, we got half of a game. And that half of the game had to fund the second half. How about just handing us a game? Kind of thing. And so it's one of those things where I become a very big proponent of, let's not give them more than what they asked for. Because then at that point, we can at least get something. And if they come and ask us for more money, which Concept did, and essentially Team Schafer did as well, but at least we can say, you know, you have something good here and we have no problem continuously funding it. Instead, we were sat there waiting. That's really what we did. We sat there waiting. I know that a couple of Mighty Number 9 demos went out, but that was about, like, you got demos, but people were still paying for big old statues and things like that. And it's one of those things where I don't want to harp on anybody on this one because this all just didn't work out right. I think Concept did the best with what they could, considering all of the problems that they had. Could they have done it better? Sure, but I could have done a whole lot of other things better in my life if we're going along those lines. And at the same time, Tim Schafer could have probably done it better. I have a feeling that if he, you know, used a time machine to go, or, you know, 10 years from now, he got a time machine, he went back to when he advertised this, he'd probably look him in the eye and go, you could have spent your money better here. You could have spent your money better here. And that way the Kickstarters would be so mad at you. But they were. So thankfully, one of the things I think that has come out of the whole Mighty Number 9 conflict and controversy is the fact that people are now being more wary on Kickstarter. They're funding stuff, but at the same time, they're not throwing hundreds of dollars at it. And I know there were people, because I think it was the statue that was the biggest prize pack of the Mighty Number 9 Kickstarter, and people funded it. Like, people paid that much. It was a pretty big amount. I think it was like $250 or something like that. It was probably more than that. And people funded it. That's pretty ridiculous, people. I'm not look, you can spend your money however you want, but then I look at this and go, but you are paying money on a property that isn't proven yet. So sure, you're going to get a nice little statue out of it. I'm sure you love Beck enough that you're going to get it, but at the same time, I can't look at it personally and justify giving $250. That's why when I do back Kickstarters, I back no more than how much I think the game should be. And I leave it at that. And in some cases, I just back them by paying like $5 or $10. And it's nothing to get, like, I want them to succeed, but at the same time, I don't want to have these same problems happen all over again, which are happening all over the place in Kickstarter. So it's one of those things that I know that the system probably won't be resolved on it, but I am thankful that through these controversies, people are getting wiser on Kickstarter. And even though they're interested in a project, they're probably not putting $100 into it. They're probably putting like 20 to show their support. And that's the way it should be. Because these things are supposed to be thrifty ventures. And Tim Schafer and numerous others have treated it like such. Until they got those big numbers. And then we had the problems happen. So with that being said, I want to make this very clear. I'm not faulting anybody. However, I am going to go back to a Concept quote. So the day before Mighty Number 9 came out, we got a little live stream. I think it was just for the Kickstarter backers, with Keiji Inafune and I think it was the director of Mighty Number 9 from Concept, who basically came out and said something along the lines of, you should just be happy that you got this game. I agree and disagree with that assessment. Yes, should the Kickstarter backers be happy that they got a game? Yes, they should. And they got one. And I've actually spoken to a couple of my friends who are Mighty Number 9 backers, and they actually are satisfied. But again, these are people that didn't pay a whole lot into the Kickstarter. So for what they paid, they got their money's worth. However, I am going to bounce this back and say, Concept, you should also be eternally thankful to the Kickstarter backers, because you, in essence, through this whole thing, and even Keiji Inafune is somewhat guilty in this, because he started other campaigns to be able to do a reimagining of Mega Man Legends, and Recore came up into the whole thing. You should also be thankful to them, and you should also be a little penitent to them. Because you had $4 million, you were asking for $900,000. Now, I'm just going to say from a common sense perspective, one of the things I love about the Mega Man series is the sequels. $900,000, you had at least potentially 3 sequels from that money. If you had been thrifty with it, and sure, it may have cost more, I'm not sure. I do know they came back and asked for more money. But let's just say for the sake of theory here, the game cost $1 million to make. You at least had 2 other sequels. You had 3 games that you could have made. You could have saved that money and said, thank you guys for giving us this excess amount. We're going to get this game out to you right away, and then we're going to build up to a sequel, which is, in some ways, this game built up to one. So this whole thing is just an absolute mess. And I'm kind of glad it's behind us, because now we can move on to other things, and people, again, are getting wiser and not spending as much money into this stuff. However, I am still worried about the Shenmue one, because Shenmue 3, that's a lot of money that got put in their hands, and they could easily squander that too. But I'm going to go ahead and get off my soapbox now, because I really do feel like, even though I said I'm just not finding anybody at fault, I'm thankful that we got Mighty Number 9, and I like it. I love the ideas that it did, but it makes me also very sad I'm not going to get a sequel from it. And we'll just go ahead and call it there. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope I didn't offend you. I hope I said the things that you were thinking or anything like that. I mean, let me know what you guys think. I know I'm probably going to get both hatred as well as praise for my thoughts on the matter. And that's okay. That's the way that this should go. Especially on controversial subjects like Mighty Number 9, like Broken Age. But I think that's going to go ahead and do it for me. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for continuing to subscribe to my content and check out all of the content and supporting the content. And of course, I will see you guys for the next video.